guys, thanks for joining me. Today I want to talk about a way to be creative and resourceful when it comes to our kids' clothes. Okay, I know that even though I enjoy making things with my sewing machine, it is not practical to make things from scratch anymore, really. And really, I mean, clothing is relatively inexpensive as it is because we buy most of our stuff used. But just because you buy things used doesn't mean that you can't be choosy about styles. And this is kind of where I've learned a lot in shopping secondhand with my daughter, who is now 12. And she loves wearing leggings, but they're not allowed to wear leggings at school unless they have a shirt that's long enough to cover their butt. So instead of going out and trying to find the tunic style shirts, which I wasn't seeing a lot of them anyway. But instead of trying to do that and just paying whatever I needed to pay because we needed them so that she could wear all of her leggings that she loves, I decided to take a different approach. Most of the secondhand stores like Goodwill and Ark, they're going to run a 50% off sale on the holidays, and we happened to be in town on Labor Day, and so we went into Goodwill, and I had her go through the larger sizes in women's clothes, okay? So sometimes plus size, sometimes just like an extra large in women's, and I had her just pick some things based on fabric that she liked. I've got those home, I've washed them, and now I'm going to start changing them. And this is where really we can be choosy. Even though we buy things secondhand, we can still make things the way that we want them. Okay, I buy secondhand furniture all the time. I very rarely buy new things, but I make them into what I want them to be. And this is one of the main ways that we maintain our lifestyle on one income. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to share one of my tricks with you guys and let you know what I do. So just take a look and see how I changed these garments that we found. We found each one of them for less than $5, and you can see what I did with them. And I don't know, maybe you might try it sometime. So the first thing I'm going to work on is this black dress. You can see how long it is. It's a woman's size small, but it is long enough. I held it up to her, and it's long enough for what we need it. So the main thing that I do, because I tend to transpose numbers, so I don't work with measurements too much. I know it's a little unconventional, but I usually work with pieces of clothes that I know fit her really well and that have the same amount of stretch. So let's start there. The first thing I have is this sweater that is hers, and it's the exact length that I need. So I'm going to use this. And also, I have this shirt that is also hers that has about the same amount of stretch. The sleeves fit perfectly, so I'm going to use these sleeves, okay, and this neckline to be my guide. I laid down the black dress, smoothed it all out, so I know exactly where the seams are, and then I put the shirt on top. And I'm comparing where the actual seams are. I have shoulder seams here that are matched up. I have the neckline, which is actually almost exactly the same, and the shoulder seams here. Okay, so the main difference that I'm going to need to work with is here under the arm, pulling it in, okay, and the length of the arms, and then the length of the garment itself, which I will also make more narrow. Okay, but where I think is a good starting point, I look at my garment and find where my seams are. Okay, so I have the side seam, this where the sleeve attaches, but in the back I also have a seam running right down the back. So if I take this in, okay, that will give me an equal distribution in the front, or an equal amount that I'm taking in. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start by taking that in about 2 inches. In order to know how long I should make the sleeves, I lined up this shirt exactly at the shoulder seam is exactly in the same place, okay? So then I line this up and I know that I want this to end up in exactly the same place. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten this sleeve, and then I will come back and bring this part in. If I want about the same seam allowance, I just kind of eyeball it, so I go from here to there, that way it can fold over twice. Okay, so then I cut off right here. I'm going to err on the side of just slightly too long, so I'll go right here. And then I'm going to line this up with the other sleeve and take off the same amount. So I folded this over once, fold it over again. Now I'm just estimating here, but I'm going to double check it with the other one before I actually stitch anything. But that looks about right to me. I've pinned both sides and lined them up to make sure they're the same by double checking that when I line them up with the armpit seam and the shoulder seam being in exactly the same place, and I hold that here, stretch them out, and they come out to be even. Now because I took in the back, we have more fabric in the front than we do in the back. And so these side seams, I have to fix them anyway, but if I didn't fix them, they would not be along her sides. They would be more toward the back, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right along the side seam, and for now, I'm just going to go right up to the armpit, because that's about where it starts to change shape. I've cut this side seam all the way up to the armpit, and now what I'm going to do is fold it in half and make sure I have the back seam even so that I get the same exact cut on the other side that I have on this side. So you can see what I did here. I basically just did what I thought I was going to do. Came up here, took a little bit off in the arm, and kind of tapered back down toward the end of the sleeve. Because I took in the back, that leaves a little extra in the front that's kind of floppy, so I'm going to take care of that by doing a little dart, okay? I lined up my shoulder seams and my side seams to make sure that I actually had the center, and I'm going to take it like maybe start at 1 inch and then go back toward the center. Okay, and then I think after that I'm going to put in a little piece of elastic to kind of hide the seam. After I put the dart in, the shape of the neck is corrected and how it lays, but this is not really beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this, I'm just going to cut, I'm not going to cut it off, I'm just going to cut into it so that it spreads, and then I will put the elastic on the inside and on top of those 2 spread seams. To make this easier on myself, before I try to put the elastic in, I'm going to go ahead and from this side where I can see the right side of the fabric, just so I make sure everything is tidy, I'm going to run a little zigzag seam to make it easier when I'm going to do my elastic. So when I'm doing elastic like this, I give myself some extra in case I need to tug and help it feed through evenly. So place it where I want it. And the first couple stitches I'm just going to be getting the elastic attached. I'm not going to worry about making it stretch. Okay, I'm double checking that I'm in the right spot here, and then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pull on my elastic. lock my stitch. Okay. I'm almost done. I'm just going to do one more thing, and it's because when she wears dresses, which is very rarely, she likes it to kind of be shorter in the front and longer in the back. So I'm just going to do a very slight graduation on that. But in order to make sure I do it right, I definitely have my seams all exactly lined up. I have it flattened sideways instead of front to back, so that I know that the left and the right side will be cut exactly the same.